All right, so you sent over some incredible articles about Zé Arigó,
Uh-huh.
a Brazilian healer
Yeah.
whose story is fascinating,
Absolutely.
controversial, and, dare I say, a bit mind-bending.
Yeah,
So you ready to dive into the life of this enigmatic figure?
absolutely. We're going to unpack his rise to fame, the procedures he performed, and the enduring debate surrounding his abilities.
You know, it's almost like a story out of a movie, but with a real-life human at the center of it. I mean,
Right.
where do you even begin?
Yeah,
Let's start with the basics, though.
sure.
Zé Arigó, he was born into a very humble background, right?
That's right. Born José Pedro de Freitas in 1918 in rural Brazil
Okay.
on a farm near a town called Congonhas. He was a simple man, a farmer's son. His early life was pretty ordinary, if you can call it that.
Yeah, nothing to suggest he would become a healer known all over the world, right?
Exactly. He had limited schooling, worked hard labor, even took a job at a mine.
Wow.
It's a far cry from the complex, even unbelievable claims that would soon surround him.
So how does a guy go from working in a mine to whatever it is we're about to get into?
Well, according to his biographers, when Arigó was in his early 30s, he began experiencing these intense, debilitating headaches, insomnia, vivid visions.
Wait, are we talking really vivid or just your average, I need more sleep kind of vivid?
We're talking visions of a bright light accompanied by a voice speaking in a language he didn't understand. He sought help from doctors, specialists, even underwent psychological evaluations, but nothing seemed to explain what he was going through.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like a mystery novel suddenly became his reality.
And that's where things take a turn, right? You mentioned dreams, but not just any dreams.
That's right. He claimed to have recurring dreams of a bustling operating room. He said he saw a figure, a robust, bald man in old-fashioned clothing who introduced himself as Adolf Fritz.
Adolf Fritz, psychic surgeon at your service.
Argo described him as a German doctor who had died in World War I, unable to complete his work on Earth. Dr. Fritz, as Arago called him, insisted that he had chosen Arago to continue his work.
So we have a potentially very ill man having extremely vivid visions of a long-dead German doctor who's recruiting him for what did this work entail?
That's where we get into the heart of what Arago became known for: performing surgeries.
Surgeries with scalpels and anesthesia and all that, because that's not what I'm picturing right now.
Not exactly. Imagine this. Arago sets up a clinic on Marshal Floriano Street, and word starts to spread about his unique abilities. We're not talking about a sterile operating room with high-tech equipment. Instead, picture hundreds of people from all walks of life, from all over the world, crowding into this clinic, desperate for his help.
Hundreds. Okay, now I have need to know what this help looked like.
Arago, while supposedly channeling this, Dr. Fritz would perform a variety of procedures. And by procedures, we're talking about things like scraping people's eyes, inserting objects into their nostrils.
Hold on, was he using actual medical instruments for these procedures?
Often not in the traditional sense. Witnesses described him using unsterilized knives, pocket knives, basically anything he could get his hands on. This wasn't surgery, as you and I might think of it. And it certainly wasn't aligned with modern medical practices.
Wow. So we've got a clinic bursting at the seams, a healer channeling a dead German doctor, and procedures that sound like they belong more in a history book than a hospital.
Right.
What did the people at the time make of all this? Were these procedures actually effective?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's a question that has fueled debate for decades. You see, there are countless anecdotal accounts from people who genuinely believed Arago healed them. They claim to have experienced miraculous recoveries from all sorts of ailments.
But how do we reconcile those stories with what we know about medicine and science?
That's where things get really interesting. We have to consider the placebo effect, this very real phenomenon where our belief in a treatment can actually contribute to our perception of healing, even if the treatment itself has no scientific basis.
So are you saying that people who felt healed by Arigó might have experienced a form of self-induced placebo effect, fueled by their faith in him and his supposed connection to Dr. Fritz?
It's certainly a possibility, and one that many researchers have explored. Faith healing in general often taps into this complex interplay between the mind and body belief and experience.
You know, thinking about these procedures, I can't help but wonder about the legal ramifications in this. Arigó's practices were bound to raise some eyebrows, right?
Oh, absolutely. Arago's methods understandably attracted a lot of scrutiny. Remember, he had no formal medical training, and his practices directly challenged the established norms of medical practice.
Which probably didn't win him any popularity contests with medical professionals.
Right.
What were the specific charges against Arigó? How did he defend his practice in court?
He was repeatedly accused of practicing medicine without a license, which, legally speaking, he was. This ultimately led to several arrests and even imprisonment. Arigó argued that he wasn't practicing medicine, but rather acting as a conduit for Dr. Fritz's spiritual healing.
It sounds like Arago's case really became a flashpoint in the larger debate between traditional healing practices and modern medicine. Did his legal troubles impact his popularity at all?
It's important to remember that despite the controversy, Arigó's popularity never really waned. People continued to flock to him for help even when he was behind bars.
It's incredible that people still sought him out, even with the legal battles.
Yeah,
But what about the science? Did anyone ever try to study what Arago was doing in a controlled environment?
they did. And this is where things get really interesting from a scientific perspective. Researchers like Andrija Puharic traveled from as far as the United States to witness Arigó's work firsthand. They even filmed his procedures, hoping to capture something tangible, something measurable.
So what did they find? Was there anything to support his claims of psychic surgery?
Even with those attempts at scientific study, the findings remained inconclusive. Some researchers walked away convinced that they had witnessed genuine paranormal phenomena. Others, however, remained skeptical. They attributed his alleged abilities to trickery, suggestion, or a combination of factors we simply couldn't explain with the tools available at the time.
It really does make you wonder. If he were alive today with all our advancements in medical technology and our understanding of the brain, would we be able to finally unravel the secrets behind his methods?
Now, that's a question that I imagine many researchers would love to answer.
It's a shame we'll never know for sure. Speaking of unanswered questions, though, you mentioned earlier that Argo's story was like something out of a movie. It didn't have a Hollywood ending, did it?
Tragically, no, Arigó died in 1971 in a car accident at only 52 years old. And just like that, his story took on an almost mythical quality.
It really is a story for the ages. This controversial healer, beloved by many, scrutinized by others, meets an untimely end. It all just adds to the intrigue surrounding his life. Decades after his death, what's Arigó's lasting impact? How should we remember him?
That's a question only you can answer for yourself. But what I find most fascinating about Arigó is that he continues to spark debate and intrigue all these years later. Was he a genuine healer, a skilled showman, or something in between? His story is a powerful reminder that sometimes the line between belief and reality can be blurry indeed.
So for our listener today, what is the one thing you think they should take away from all of this?
Well, I think the big takeaway for me is that it reminds us that the human desire for healing, for hope, is powerful. Like,
Yeah.
it's really powerful.
It really is. We can't talk about Arigó without acknowledging the countless stories from people who truly believed he healed them. Their experiences, regardless of any scientific explanation, are a testament to that very human desire for healing.
You've hit the nail on the head. Even if, from a purely scientific standpoint, we might question the mechanisms of his alleged healings, we can't discount the very real experiences of those who sought his help.
It's a good reminder that we can't always quantify or explain the human experience. Sometimes belief itself can be a powerful force.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, I think, is at the heart of Arigó's legacy. He embodies that enduring human fascination with the unexplained, the mysterious, and the possibility that there might be more to our world than meets the eye.
I love that. So for our listener, who I imagine is now completely engrossed in the enigma of Arigó, and trust me, I don't blame you, what's the one question we should leave them pondering?
That's a good question. I think the question to leave everyone with is, why do figures like Arigó, who operate in the realm of belief, continue to capture our imaginations in an age where we demand proof, in an age where science reigns supreme?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I'll be wrestling with that one for a while. Thanks for taking this deep dive with me.
The pleasure, as always, was mine.